Yeah, I think you all can sit. Or bahasa yang mana gagal asuk bayi? Fine. Dr. Kahamnuk Jamatia, Assistant Professor, AGMC and GBP Hospital, to deliver his talk. Thank you. From good morning to good evening. So we have spent a good lot of time. So welcome back all of you after lunch, and let's hope we don't sleep for the next 15 to 20 minutes. So I welcome all our friends from other states of Northeast, and it's really a pleasure and an honor for me that I'm having this opportunity to meet you and say something on this very important topic of refugee migration in Tripura.
Hello.
A little while ago, a song was playing. Tai sing với sao mình cái sao rồi tổng lấy money, chừng nó rồi thì chỉ niman thay, nâng bahai cái sanai amoni niman thay, nâng bahai cái sanai, jadi nâng amoni nimawan nibatan. Tai sing Abhijit, chừng I guess kalau thangsa pore lấy money, ang bono tai sing sasa, chừng sekolah pore lấy pro, nona ang waisa 10 টাকা rang solok romani, ano tabok firawi rosedi buah niman thay. Buah no sempikan nengapra ano 10 টাকা romani tuma proman tom. Hingga angin sa proman si Romalia, ang tokoy jaga suyoy benar liya ko nang angno 10 টাকা ro hati ni 2001 rogo 2000 rogo. Hingga proman si Romalia hingga ang zeman thai omang bahai ke sanai. O man thai neng temani bangi man thai bono siwani bangi bono sawani bangi ne om thai program ro ngani nang om thai program ro khnawani nang thai din ke sunsini khna laine temani bangi sing man thai temani sini man thai sing mawani nang. So the topic is refugee migration in Tripura. I'm an organ and maxillofacial surgeon, so by profession, apparently, it seems that I should not be talking on this topic. But then, if I look closely, whenever we have an infection in the body, that infection is an illegal immigration of pathogens. So that illegal immigration by bacteria or viruses or anything causes so much disturbance in your body. So it is very much relevant with our profession. We just have to correlate. So here we see this patient is still admitted in GP hospital. It's a case of bullet injury. The bullet has come and hit in his lower jaw, in her lower jaw, and you see what happened. It has completely fractured the lower jaw into multiple segments, multiple fragments. Bolongo thangmani boi sikari khain thakana boli nang khaila hambo nimu thango hingke boni bekreng jeche ni kholai humani bekreng pura bai bai lang bangma pieces ke. So that bullet here is an illegal immigrant which has entered her body and broken her bones into multiple pieces. So that illegal immigrant, which is the bullet, has disturbed the shape of her lower jaw, has disturbed the function of her lower jaw, has disturbed everything that was normal about that lower jaw. So this is what happens when large-scale illegal immigration takes place. It disturbs the normal anatomy, it disturbs the normal physiology. It may be your body or it may be your place. So before we talk on that, briefly we have to say that Tripura was a kingdom, an independent kingdom, where we say that 184 indigenous kings have ruled this small kingdom. And Tripura continued to be a princely state with tribal majority until its merger into the Indian Union on 15 October 1949. Now compare this with present-day Tripura. It is a small state still and a part of northeast part of India. Now it has become a tribal minority state and the indigenous people have lost all political power. So after independence, we were part C state. Then we became a union territory in 1956, and finally we had our statehood since 1972. So, before we talk on refugee migration, it is very important to understand this slide. You look at it, past Tripura kingdom, we were the indigenous rulers. We had the indigenous rulers, and it was an indigenous tribal majority kingdom. What happened? Present Tripura, indigenous people lost all their political power. We no longer rule. Secondly, indigenous tribal minority. From a tribal majority state, we have become a tribal minority state. So in this background, which is because of migration of refugees, we will start our presentation. So before we go, we have to define what migration is. In common terms that we understand, it is simply a movement from one place to another. The United Nations Multilingual Demographic Dictionary defines migration as follows. I won't go into the technical terms, but you can. There is a definition for refugee also. This is the definition given by the United Nations 1951 Convention on Refugees. India participated in this convention, but India did not sign the convention during this time because there were certain things which were not clear at that point of time. Now, as far as Tripura is concerned, there were three main phases of migration, means three different periods. The first period I would like to classify just somewhere around when the country was getting independent and also getting partitioned. So 1946, 47, 48, around this period when we were just about to get independence and when the country was getting divided. So during this period, there was a large-scale immigration into Tripura. Second period was after a few years, 1951-52. In that period, again there were some communal riots breaking out in East Pakistan, the present Bangladesh, which again show a large scale of migration to our state. And the third and the final phase, which is still continuing, is the 1971 during Bangladesh, during the creation of Bangladesh. First, the liberation war, and following the creation of Bangladesh, again there were religious riots taking place, and with all those reasons, three main periods of rapid influx have completely changed the demographic balance against the indigenous tribals of our state. And that's why a directorate of rehabilitation was set up as early as 1949 by the government. So these are the documents, these are the facts by which you claim that you have our right. It is just not you who says that you have every right to ask for what you are asking. It is the government itself, it is the history itself, it is the fact itself which claims that you need and you legally need what you are asking for. So migration around partition period. So I'm taking references from all the books written by prominent writers who have seen this migration, who have seen this partition, who have lived through these communal riots, and they have written multiple books, different authors, different books, and from their account we can get all the facts. So let's go through some of them. Here is the book Desh Bhage Tripura, written by Dilip Das. I wish it was a little bit more clear. So this was the period just when the news was spreading that India is going to get bifurcated into Pakistan and India. With that news itself, so many people from different villages which were nearby Tripura and Northeast, they have started to migrate into this part of the country. Here you can see that many people, I have put an arrow here, many people had to leave Bangladesh wearing just the two pieces of cloth that they had. So that basically many of them had to come empty-handed with nothing but a pair of clothes. And if I don't mention here the partition of India, the Red Cliff line that was drawn. The Red Cliff line basically divided Bengal and Punjab. Punjab to an extent is a different story altogether. But as far as our part was concerned, the Chakla Rosanabad area went into Pakistan, and a large number of Hindu Bengalis, those who were settled there, had to come to our side. So this was one big line that completely changed the destiny of many people in our part of the country. So here's another book, Tripura Desh Bhager Golpo by Vimol Chakraborty. So all these are documents, all these are history that you need to know when you say that this land belongs to you. Here you see 1946 থেকে ত্রিপুরায় পূর্ব বাংলার উদ্বাস্তুর স্রোত বসতির আচর কাটতে শুরু করে. So from 1946 onwards the migration have started. Kolkata Noakhali Danga. So 1946 again is a very important year which has completely changed the demographic pattern of our state, and that was the Noakhali riots. The Noakhali riots happened and around 1 lakh people were killed in those riots. So we can imagine, and so many women were raped, and molested, and all those things happened, for which there was such a large-scale immigration to the northeast and to the Tripura, the present Tripura that we know. This was before independence itself. Desh Te Purbabanga Tharar Mormu Bayan by Krishna Malik. This is a very good book, and many personal accounts of the horror of communal riots that took place in East Pakistan and Bangladesh are narrated here. So that Desh Te means leaving the country, one owns country. So those people who had come had also had to come by leaving their country. So in this book he gives 5 main reasons for the migrants to leave. Number 1 was 1946, where the first riot took place in Kolkata, and then in Noakhali, as we have mentioned before. You see it is written that 50,000 to 1 lakh Hindu nihoto hon, অসংখ্য নারী দর্শিতা হন, জোর করে ধর্মান্তরের ঘটনা ঘটে. So there were almost 1 lakh people killed, around 20,000 or more women were raped, and then there were forceful conversions. So these are personal accounts, personal things that they have written, which they have faced, which they have had to face. Second reason was again 1947-48, finally when the country got partitioned. Third reason was again 1950, there was another communal riot in Borishal. So again that time many large-scale immigration took place. Fourth reason 1964-65, again another religious persecution happened. And then finally fifth reason was 1971, the creation of Bangladesh, as we have already spoken. So 1947 পূর্ব থেকেই শুরু করে 1971 স্বাধীন বাংলাদেশ গঠন, তারপরেও এমনকি আজও বাংলাদেশ থেকে উদ্বাস্তের দল থেমে যায়নি. So these lines are not by me, these lines are by those who have actually lived those times. So right from 1946-47 till 1971 and even till present day, the immigration is happening and it continues to happen without much restriction. So migration around 1971, see post 1971, e pare ekattur, means just after 1971, what happened in this part of the country, written by Kalyan Prasad Chakraborty and Jyotirmoy Das. So you see 1971, we were talking a period of just during the partition period, but what about 1971? How many migrants have actually come around 1971? According to this book and many other sources, of course, around 15 lakh refugees have come to Tripura around 1971 itself. And imagine at that point in time, the population of Tripura itself was 15 lakhs. So if the Tripura was 15 lakh population and 15 lakh refugees has come to your state, so imagine how much change it has brought. So let's look at the census of Tripura from 1901 onwards. In 1901, we were 1,73,000 was the population of the state. Tribals constituted 53% of that. In 1931, we reduced to 52%. In 1941, we reduced to 50%. And for the first time, it was in 1951 census that we were reduced to a minority of 37%. So 1951 is a crucial year. See, we were talking about migration around independence, 1946-47. So by the time we reached 1951, we had become from maybe roughly 50 to 53% till 37%. So from there, our journey towards gradual minority have started. So 2011, 1981, see, we were about 28%, and 2011, 31%, and I think right now we'll be somewhere around 30%. So how the indigenous people became a minority over the years can be seen. The native, tribal natives constituted. If we go back a little further, 1874, we were around 64% of the total population. So within 50 years, till 1931, we became 52%. So there was a reduction of 12% in these 50 years. And in 1951, we became 37%, which is 15% reduction in just 20 years. And in 2001, we were just 26.7%. So this is how we have been gradually converted into a minority in our own tribal majority state. So rapidly increasing population density of Tripura. So 1901, you see, we were only 17 person per square kilometer, and in 2011, we are 350. So this increase in density of population is not normal. It cannot happen under normal circumstances with vertical increase in population. This can only happen with large scale horizontal increase in population, which happened due to so much of illegal refugee immigration in Tripura. So 1946-47 till 1971. So between 1947 and 1971, 6,09,000 something Bengalis came to Tripura from East Pakistan. So the population of state in 1951 was only 6,45,000. So if in 1951 you have only 6,45,000 was your original population, in the same period you have same number of population, more than 6 lakhs refugees coming over to your place. So this unbridled migration led to the marginalization of the tribal peasants and elite and created a psychological trauma of being reduced to a minority in a tribal state. And this numerical domination of the Bengalis in Tripura gradually translated into their economic, political and cultural domination with a corresponding pressure on the tribes for survival. These are not our lines, this all I have quoted from the books written by them. So rapid influx 1950-51 was mainly because of communal riots that broke out in East Pakistan in the Barisal district, where in Barisal district alone, about 2,500 Hindus were massacred. Riots also broke out in Chittagong again, Noakhali. As a result, about 2 lakh refugees migrated to Tripura in 1951 alone. Then 1971, obviously, 1971, just when Bangladesh was created, 14 lakh 16,000 refugees have come when the state population was 15 lakh only. So now the question comes, what made the influx so easy? Did other states also get this much of influx? Probably no. Then why Tripura was so vulnerable to this influx? So 3 basic reasons. Firstly, the close proximity of Tripura to East Pakistan and subsequently Bangladesh. On all the 3 sides, we are surrounded by Bangladesh, and only towards the east, we are connected with Assam and Mizoram. Secondly, there was a lack of resistance on the part of the local population against the stream of migration, as the local tribal population initially was not aware of the dangers to their lives and livelihoods that migrants could pose. There was no significant resistance from the local population. When this large-scale migration was taking place, right from 1946 till 1971 and thereafter, we don't see any kind of significant opposition to that. Our grandfathers, the fathers of our grandfathers, they were welcoming them. They never put up any armed struggle. They never put up any kind of significant political struggle against them. So we welcome them with open mind and open heart, as we should have, I believe, taking into consideration the humanity factor. Third, the presence of a sizable Bengali-speaking population in the state also contributed to this demographic change, as it readily provided all the assistance to their incoming brethren. So all the administrative posts were occupied by the Bengalis already residing here. So instead of looking at it as a refugee problem, they looked at it as a communal brotherhood. So that resulted in a lot of administrative support, and that is also one of the big contributing factor why the influx was so easy. How the indigenous people started losing their land? Number one and the foremost reason was government policies supporting the immigrants. So the government, the pro-refugee policies of the government was largely responsible for the tribals losing their land. As we can see, under the chief ministership of Sachin Lal Singh, 1963 to 1971, he was the first chief minister of Tripura. The government had provided the migrants with land and other facilities like ration cards at various places like Mandai. Anybody from Mandai here? Anyone raise your hand? So many settlements were given, land rights were given in Mandai with ration cards and all other government facilities. We are talking about 1963 to 1970s. Takarjola, anyone from Takarjola? So this is how so many settlements in Takarjola was there, as is evident. Anybody from Jampujola? In Jampujola there were colonies and colonies, all because of 1963 to 1970 allotment. Kuwai, Kalyanpur, these are all in West District, and this is how there were so many settlements. So now we have an answer. In Hatileta, about 12.8 acres of forest land were allotted to a few refugee families. In Rangutia, Moja of Bamutia Tahsil, 102.4 acres of plain land and 50 acres of tila land were given to refugees for flower cultivation. All these lands belong to the local tribals, but they had to give it, they were taken away without giving proper compensation. As the process of land acquisition was tedious and lengthy, refugee rehabilitation was executed in a hasty manner, which often trampled upon the land rights of the indigenous people. So disregarding the land rights of the indigenous people, a large portion of the lands were being handed over during that period of time. Moreover, various dubious means were adopted to settle the immigrants, even at the cost of the locals. Transfer of land from tribals to non-tribals became the most crucial problem in Tripura. And again, there was also a transaction like Dhakal Bikri. If anybody is old enough here to have lived during those times, he would be remembering this. Dhakal Bikri means selling the land in a very, very cheap price. People used to come, give offer, okay, with few rupees they used to take away your land. So that was completely illegal and unethical. So another thing that happened was
You should stop up.
the money lenders started visiting the interiors and charged high rate of interest, and again with default they took away the land. So there is a government record of illegal land transfer of lands also. There was a commission set up in 1968 and it found that 80% of the land in Kanchanpur in North Tripura had been grabbed by non-tribals through unscrupulous and fraudulent means. So North Tripura people, if anybody is here, you would be able to correlate with this. This is for you. So did the indigenous people resist, and how? Yes. 1947, Bir Bikram Tripur Sangha was established. Its militant wing was Sankra. They initially opposed the influx of the refugees. Then there was another organization in 1951 known as Paharia Union. This was established after Sankra got banned. Then Tripura Rajya Adivasi Sangha in 1953, they demanded a tribal predominance in the state administration and took an anti-refugee stand. Then East India Tribal Union. I didn't know about this till I prepared this slide. 1955-56, when the State Reorganization Committee was formed. That time, this committee suggested that Tripura should be merged with Assam. And there were many Tripurese indigenous people who supported this proposal. They thought that being incorporated in Assam will make their sufferings less and they will unite them along with all other tribal population of Northeast to have a common goal. But unfortunately, this also did not happen. And when all these organizations failed, the turning point was 1967, when ultimately the TUJS was formed. And the background of TUJS formation, as the Dr. Brother Anthony has spoke about this commission, 1960 Dewan Commission was formed, which suggested the formation of tribal development blocks as an experiment. It even suggested tribal reserve under the 5th schedule of the Indian Constitution. There was another commission which was formed, Administrative Reform Commission headed by K. Hanumanthia. It also recommended setting up of tribal councils. So by 1960s, already the concept of setting up of autonomous tribal councils have been born. People had this concept, people had this idea. So with this idea, when this was not being realized, finally the people were frustrated with the then political parties of the Communists and the Congress, and this led to the formation of TUJS in 1967, in June to be precise, in Katka Kobrapara. So TUJS put forward, or they began their political journey with the following 5 demands: restoration of tribal lands, which we just spoke about how illegally it was taken away. So restoration of tribal lands back to the tribals, this was demand. Second demand was formation of tribal autonomous district council, reservation in government jobs for the tribals, extension of inland permit, and also recognition of Kokborok as official language with Roman script. So these 5 were the basic demands with which TUJS began its movement. Being an ESO conference, PSF 1968 also played a very, very important role in all the nationalistic movements that we have seen before and that we are seeing today. So major political success so far: restoration of illegally transferred tribal lands, second creation of TTA-ADC in 1984 under 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and reservation of 26 for scheduled tribes in the state assembly. This has been some of our most major political success so far. And in conclusion, Whenever there is a migration, land, language, and local autonomy are the principal bones of contention in any conflict between the host and the migrant population. And Tripura provides the most burning example of changing demography, land loss, and shift in political power due to rapid refugee migration within a very, very short period of time. So these are the references, and I hope we have better days ahead, because it's a fact that we have been reduced to a minority in our own state, as has been shown in so many slides and so many documents and books. Hopefully something good will happen and we have a brighter future, and NESO, DSF, all of the youths will play a very important role in this. Thank you so much for hearing me. Thank you, NESO. Thank you, DSF, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kahamnuk. It was a good presentation, perhaps with lots of records and data, and some data need to be further analyzed to make a case strong. Right now, I would like to request the replacement